Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and you're watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to do a little role reversal. I know a lot of times we do a 53-man roster, and I count you from 1, and we go all the way to 53. Well, guess what? We're going to do the exact opposite. Today, as it stands right now, the Raiders have 79 players on their roster. So what we're going to do here is predict the 26 guys that are going to end up getting cut. The Raiders, Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, they got to get this roster down to 53 by 4 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow to make sure that you don't miss all the players that get released and the guys that make the team. Jeremy Jugs and I, we're going to be live on the Raiders Report tomorrow, bright and early. We also going to hit you with that analysis. We got the latest news, rumors, and for the next 366 days, this show 100% free. Now, some of y'all might not understand the players that made my final prediction, so guess what? I want you to go check it out. In fact, this video is going to be available for you guys down in the comments and in the description to see which of the 53 players I believe end up making this team. All right, so here we go. Let's go to number 79 on the list, John Samuel Shenker. He was a UDFA tight end out of Auburn, played a little bit of fullback at times this past preseason, but the Raiders got a lot of solid depth at tight end, so unfortunately for him, he's not going to be making this roster. Let's go to number 78. It's George Tarlas, another UDFA defensive end. Really got overmatched a lot of the time during the preseason with some of the other players that are playing next to him, like number 77 on our list here, David Agoha, the International Pathway Program player. I do think that there's some upside here because he is a good athlete, and sometimes you can't teach that. Still a lot of very raw instincts, and unfortunately for him, won't be making this team, but I do think he's going to be on the practice squad because of the Pathway Program. At number 76 here, it's Azizi Hearn. I had hopes that Herron would be able to showcase some of the talent that you saw on tape at times, but another player at this point in the roster, you really get to see how different it is from being NFL ready and then just being a pretty damn good college football player. At number 75, it's Kana'i Mauga. He's been released already once this offseason, was put on this roster to just be a little bit of extra depth for those final preseason games, if you will. So just something to keep in mind as we continue to go forward. We still got some more players to, unfortunately, cut. It's probably one of my worst times of the year to discuss, but one of my favorite times of the year, week 1 of the NFL season. And with the Raiders going up against the Denver Broncos, I want to know, who's going to have more wins this season? Is it going to be the Broncos? Type DEN. If it's the Las Vegas Raiders, I want you to type LV. And bonus points out there for everybody that spams. F Sam. All right, let's go to number 74 here on the list of Raiders to get cut. Jaydon Grant, another UDFA player, actually flashed a few times during training camp, during some of the offseason program. You could see the athletic ability there, but he's number 74 on my list in terms of guys making this team. At 73, it's Jaquan Johnson. He was signed this offseason to play a little bit more of that free safety role, but there's just not enough spots at the safety position. I anticipate this team keeping 4 safeties. Jaquan Johnson not on that list. At number 72, it's Cam Sims. You saw him make a beautiful catch on a 22-yard football in that final preseason game against Dallas. Bigger receiver compared to some of the other guys on this roster. Good red zone option. I think he ends up making the practice squad, but not good enough to make the 53. At 71, it's Hroniss Grasu. And his flexibility on the interior offensive line is why I could see the Raiders trying to keep him on the practice squad. He played on the practice squad last season. When you have the ability to play offensive guard, center, but especially center in this league, that can keep you around a little bit longer. Think about interior offensive linemen that can play center. It's kind of like when a defensive guy can also play special teams. At number 70, it's Damien Williams, and Williams had himself a heck of a football game up against Dallas. 6 carries, 54 yards, a touchdown, was one of the clear winners. Definitely has some of that pass-catching ability, and sure, the fact that he was a member of the Kansas City Chiefs probably helped us try to get an inside track record on him. The Raiders, though, with Josh Jacobs back, a lot of solid talent in that room. So Damien Williams comes in here at number 70, which means 69 is next. Speaking of 69, I got something really nice to tell you about. Shout out to today's sponsor, Marine Layer. I know some of y'all are probably like, Mitch, you got a new fit today. What's up with it? Well, guess what? You guys can get this fit as well because if you use promo code CHAT15 and you go to the link that you see below, marinelayer.com/chat15, we can get you hooked up. So Raider Nation, huge shout out to Marine Layer for sponsoring today's show. It's official. I have found the softest t-shirt mankind has ever made. What I love about Marine Layer is how their t-shirts stay so soft no matter how many times you wash them. It's time to invest in a wardrobe that will actually last. For a limited time, our listeners get an exclusive 15% off discount with code CHAT15 at marinelayer.com/chat15. How many times have you felt that you were in between sizes when buying clothes? Maybe you've been drinking a few too many lately. You've also been hitting the gym extra hard. At least that's what I tell myself. What's cool about Marine Layer is that they have in-between sizes. You finally no longer have to make that difficult choice between medium and large and extra large. We're trying to make Marge a thing, or, a little bit of a schmedium. Now, if you like the shirt that I have on, you can actually get it, and it's called, which I love the fact that we did this, the Conrad Sweater Polo in Oatmeal Blue Stripe. The reason why I laugh about this sponsor, it's not because they don't make amazing shirts. It's because you ever look at something and then somebody else shows you something? Like my fiance Alex has been telling me about this company for a very long time, and I never went ahead and pulled the trigger on getting one of them. Well, now they're a sponsor of the show, and I encourage all of y'all because if they can elevate my wardrobe for Alex, my fiance, I think that they're going to be able to help you guys out as well. So Marine Layer is the go-to brand for great fitting and stylish closet staples. Based out of California, Marine Layer clothes are the perfect mix of laid-back style that also looks and feels premium. I think we can all admit that the perfect tee can be hard to find. Look no further than Marine Layer. For a limited time, get 15% off with code CHAT15 at marinelayer.com/chat15. That's code CHAT15 for 15% off your entire order at marinelayer.com/chat15. Saving your closet one shirt at a time. All right, let's keep this thing rolling here. Raiders, they get cut Jordan Meredith at offensive lineman number 69. So, we're starting to get to the point of the roster where the Raiders might have some difficult decisions, and I know when you think of a 53-man, the fact that somebody is this far away from making the roster, it's not that they're not talented. This season, the Raiders are a lot more deep than what they've been in years past. When the Raiders made the playoffs in 2021, this roster is deeper than that roster. I'm telling you that right now. Let's go to number 68, one of the clear winners from Raiders preseason, Cole Fotheringham. And I know a lot of fans were pulling for him to try to make this team. Jacob Hollister, he was injured. He's no longer on this team. And if they were to keep 4 tight ends, I do think Cole could definitely be on that list. At number 67, it's Justin Herron. If I were to base this just on the way that players played in the preseason and during joint practice, he might be number 79 because he was terrible. The reason why he's ranked a little bit higher here, though, for me is because he has those Patriot connections, and the Raiders traded for him last offseason. At number 66, it's Kristian Wilkerson. He had 10 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown against Dallas in preseason week 3. You could see he was the clear target favorite of what this offense was trying to do. Mick Lombardi, he was the one calling the plays in that final preseason game. Offers you some special teams ability, but I think we can all agree. Wide receiver, very deep here for the Silver and Black. Let's go to number 65, and this one kills me a little bit because Adam Plant Jr., there was definitely times, man, he flashed, and you're like, this kid is good, and he's going to be able to go out there, and he's going to get better and better and better. And I know that this coaching staff wants players that they look at and say, all right, he's coachable, he's teachable. Plant's that. I don't know if he's going to clear waivers because I do think a team might take a shot on him. But if not, I would love to have him on the practice squad. At number 64, it's Sincere McCormick. And Sincere was a name that I wanted to put a lot higher on this list, but I just had to go with my gut feeling. McCormick is ranked higher as it stands right now over Brandon Bolden on the depth chart. But Alex Bars also is ranked as the starting right guard. So what does the depth chart actually mean? Let's go to 63, Keelan Cole. At wide receiver, Cole is right on that benchmark. I think he's the 7th wide receiver on this team. I know Aiden O'Connell likes him a lot. I know this coaching staff likes him a lot, and he was a member of the team last year. At number 62, it's Curtis Bolton. The fact that Bolton is here at number 62 and there's still 10 other players or 8 other players that are keeping him away from making this team, He was unbelievable during the preseason. He really showed that extra level, gives you some of that special teams ability, and I would love for him to be back on the practice squad. At number 61, it's Isaac Rochell. The Raiders added him a little bit later in the offseason. He also spent some time with the Raiders last year on top of that. Defensive end, good player, but I just don't think quite has enough juice to really make that final roster. At number 60, it's John Jenkins at defensive tackle. He has shown some flashes here and there. He is 34 years old. He has that connection with Rob Leonard, the Raiders defensive line coach. But to me, this is going to be an organization that goes with some younger players, which I don't think is a bad idea at all. Now, what I want you guys to do is set a reminder, because I'm getting a Raiders tattoo live here on the Raiders Report on Thursday and on Friday. We're going to be going live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It's probably going to take 8 hours on Thursday, 8 hours on Friday. We're meeting with the tattoo artist, Chugs and I, on Wednesday, so we'll kind of be able to lay it out a little bit better. But overall, if you want to see 8 hours of live, crazy Raiders Report action with the tattoo going on, we got some special guests rolling in here to the studio. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you're there watching. Let's go to number 59 on the list. It's Drake Thomas, the UDFA out of NC State. Another player that, man, I really, really wanted to be able to keep on this roster, but just couldn't quite find the spot to keep him in. Linebacker, if they keep 5, I believe Thomas will be the 5th. At number 58, it's Tyler Hall. And beginning of the offseason, I was like, man, this guy might start at inside slot corner. But now the fact that they like Ja'Cory Bennett, Nate Hobbs has been playing on the inside here a little bit, I have Tyler Hall at 58. At 57, it's going to be Alex Bars, and he is listed as the starting right guard, but that does not mean that I think he's going to make it. I've been saying for a long, long time, this situation reminds me a lot of the Lester Cotton right guard situation from the season before, where they had him at starting. He was getting a lot of the starting reps. Not going to make it. When you're playing in the fourth quarter of that final preseason game, it's not a good sign. At 56, Matthew Butler rolling in here at defensive tackle. Another player that I just don't think quite has enough, and it's kind of crazy because this Raiders defensive tackle room is as thin as what it is, but sometimes you got to be able to make those calls, and this is the one that I'm making. At 55, it's Roderic Teamer. I like Teamer. He's a good special teams player overall. I know this organization likes him as well, just didn't quite have enough space to put him in here. And then the final spot, David Long Jr., corner. I know the Raiders signed him. In fact, he was the very first player that they signed during free agency. But the Raiders also cut the very first player that they signed last free agency, with players like Amik Robertson stepping up, Sam Webb stepping up. I see this team only keeping 6 cornerbacks on the roster, which, you know, they're also going to put another guy on IR, I think, here pretty soon with Brandon Faison. But David Long Jr., unfortunately for you, man, you just missed the cut. So out of those names, who deserves to make the Raiders 53? If you haven't checked out my first video, it's already, like I mentioned, down in the comments and in the description. But from the names that I just threw out there, in terms of getting cut, who's on that list here? Like, Mitch, that guy deserves to make your 53. Well, we'll find out if I'm right. We'll find out if I'm wrong tomorrow when the Raiders trim their roster from 79 all the way back down to 53. The regular season's right around the corner. It's going to be a fun week here on the Raiders Report. And if you don't already know that, make sure you subscribe. Make sure those notifications are turned on, because we're about to ball out this week.